Thank you for tuning in to the Catch a Lift Fund's Coach's Corner podcast. We hope you enjoy today's episode and will consider supporting the Catch a Lift Fund and the veterans we serve. Visit our website for more information about our programs at catchaliftfund.org. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis or suicidal thoughts, please call 988 or the Veterans Crisis Line 988, followed immediately by the number 1. The views and opinions expressed during the Coach's Corner podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the Catch a Lift Fund. The Catch a Lift Fund does not verify or warrant the truth or accuracy of statements made during the podcast, and statements therein are not to be construed as an official policy or position of the Catch a Lift Fund. This podcast is provided for informational purposes only, and nothing herein should be construed as health, medical, or other professional advice. The Coach's Corner is a place for veterans to connect, heal, and share their stories. I'm Melissa Luke, the host of the Coach's Corner podcast. I am a U.S. Army Iraq War veteran, coach, and program director for the Catch a Lift Fund. The Coach's Corner is sponsored by ID Technologies. Welcome to this week's episode of the Coach's Corner. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to welcome back Cal head coach Jeremiah Pauley to this week's episode to discuss how to jumpstart your new year. Welcome to this week's episode of the Coach's Corner. Jeremiah, welcome back.
Hey, Melissa. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Bit of a storm out there today, so we're getting some much-needed rain.
Nice.
I'm grateful for that, yeah.
I bet. Well, we've got a lot to cover today, Jeremiah. Let's jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Coach Jeremiah, how do you approach a new year?
How do I approach a new year? I think I have to bring in gratitude, right? That's going to be the first thing that I bring into the new year. I think it's very easy for us, people in our community, to really think about some of the negative things, the depression and anxiety that we've all struggled with throughout the years as a result of our service. But one thing I have learned to be very important and helpful for me is to come into the new year with gratitude. Hey, I've made it. I'm here. I'm grateful for this. This is another opportunity for me to just do good things. So that's the first thing. The other thing I like to do is come in like really optimistic, right? I know I'm going to face challenges this year. I know there are going to be unexpected things that pop up that I have to cope with, right, deal with at the last minute. I know that because it happens all the time.
Absolutely.
Right. And it happens to all of us. No one is really, immune to that happening. So I come in optimistic, knowing that I'm going to face challenges, but then I'm also looking at it going, I'm going to learn a lot. I'm going to learn a lot from these challenges, and I'm going to use all of those challenges, that optimism, that gratitude, and just a little bit of positivity to say, this is just going to be my best year yet. This is it. Yeah. Best year yet. Let's go.
So, it's no secret. 2020 was a rough year, obviously, sure, for a lot of folks, 2020, yeah, 2021, even 2022. So we've really dealt with three very difficult years. Right. And for folks that are really struggling to kind of shake that dust off, right, as we move into this new year, and they might even be struggling, yeah, trying to find something positive to look to, like, shoot, what's 2023 going to be now? What would you say to them?
I think the first thing is understand that you're not alone in that 2-3 year progress of struggle and like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? You're not alone. Like, we've all been struggling with it in some manner. But let's start out and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to do something maybe a little different. And I think we have to remember that in order for us, and this is going to sound kind of cliche, but in order for us to get something we've never had, we're going to have to do things we've never done.
Yeah.
And if that is as simple as writing out a really strict schedule of how we want the next several days, the next several weeks and months to go, let's start there. Let's start off with writing a really strict schedule. If I say, okay, Monday morning, 4 a.m., I'm getting up. no matter what, 4 a.m., when that alarm clock goes
Yeah.
off, my feet are hitting the floor, I'm walking to the bathroom or I'm going to get my coffee or whatever it is, I'm getting out of the bed. I have to make that deal, that contract with yourself. Say, no matter what, I'm getting up out of bed. Just a
You're
little way
really
to start.
You're really speaking my language there. And at the very end of December, it was like that last week, and all of us at Cal, we had some downtime and everything. And I spent that week literally doing that, a chunk of it. And I always, like to hit it back to the gym. So like I programmed out my next 3 months as far as my
Nice.
schedule. What does this look like? And so that's quarter 1 of 2023. And I'm looking at it because there was some changes I want to make just in my day to day and how I was operating. I felt like just it's very easy, even when you do have a schedule and everything. And I stick to a schedule and a calendar very strictly. But just as we got deeper into the year, as November and December really got more busy. Um, I started to lose that balance and kind of the focus of what I had already laid out. So that time definitely gave me that ability, like, okay, let's go in there. What does this next 3 months look like?
Yeah.
So yeah, anytime, you can schedule, you can work a calendar, you can get tight with that, you can be disciplined with it, right there, you're setting up for a lot of success.
Yeah.
Um, so with a new year, a lot of folks look for new things they want to accomplish. Call them goals, call them what you may, but the first of the year for a lot of people is a natural time to do it.
Right.
Would like to add to that, though, you can certainly do that any time of the year, right? Never wait for
Absolutely.
January 1 to roll back around to hit that. But a lot of folks are setting some goals right now and looking to make some changes. Coach Jeremiah, talk to us a little bit about how individuals can set realistic goals at the start of a year or really any time.
There are definitely a lot of different models, out there if you were to search Google, right, of different ways to go about this. Probably one of the most common and most popular are the SMART goals.
Right.
That acronym SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. I think when we start to look at that, like you're able to break it down, like you break down that acronym and you start looking at it, you start to think, okay, this big lofty goal that I have maybe isn't so daunting after all.
Yeah.
Now that I can start to break it down a little bit, and you use each letter of that acronym as just a little starting point, right? Let's look at the specific way to go, right? We start to say, okay, what is it I truly am trying to accomplish here? I think the biggest one to look at is this. This isn't a I don't want it to confuse specific with like a task list of things
Right.
that you have to do to get there, right? It needs to be something like the end result or what's going to happen as a result of day-to-day tasks in your life if you
Right.
put them all into place. So with you starting right there with that specific and then start working your way through that acronym. And we can go through each one, totally that might help some folks out, right?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
what's going to be accomplished specifically, and what actions we're going to take to get there. And for measurable, what kind of data are we going to use to measure that goal? You had mentioned earlier, a lot of people start at January 1st, and probably one of the most common, especially in our field, this health and fitness
Yeah.
is, I want to lose weight.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah, make sure your scales, readily
Right.
available. Weigh yourself, every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. or
Yeah.
whatever it is for you. Maybe it's to, find ways to become adding weight if you're trying to bulk up for a competition, or if you're trying to add in more planned meals, which I know is one of our favorite things, right?
For
Meal
sure.
planning. Achievable. Is it really doable? Is it really going to happen in the time that you want? It's really easy, I think, to think real big picture
For
and
sure.
say, oh, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Cool. When do you want to lose 50 pounds? 3 months. Whoa, let's
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
let's hold on. Like maybe that's not, what we really need to do to be the healthiest. But also, do we have the necessary skills and experience and the resources to accomplish that goal? And relevant. What or how does the goal align with something broader, and why is the result so important? And time bound. When you start looking at a time frame for accomplishing it, what is something that's going to be truly realistic? But none of that will matter at all, in my very humble opinion, if you don't have a why.
Yeah.
If you're not able to articulate and write down your why on that specific, or pardon me, on that goal, the specific, the measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound, it's not going to help you truly make everything that you need, all those changes that you need to accomplish it. You have to find out your why.
What would you say to folks, Jeremiah? So let's just use the weight loss goal,
Sure.
as a baseline here. Um, how do folks really develop that why, or put it in, make it their own and not somebody else's, right? Like, well, my doctor says I should lose this weight, or my significant other does. How can a person kind of internalize back that, why is this my why? Because just like you said, you can do all this great work on that SMART goal, but if that why isn't you, where can folks kind of start there?
Sure. I think you can start to look at what's important to you. For many people, it's their family, right? They want to be able to interact and go do fun things with their spouse, with their children. They want to be able to maybe get out into the community and volunteer more, but without losing their breath, or without feeling like they're going to be judged because their clothes don't fit the way that they want to. So you start to look at these external factors, right, for the things that are around you, for one. And then you start to look internally at the factors within your own heart, within your own mind. Why is this important to me as an individual? Maybe this was something, for a lot of us, when we left the military, and because of our injuries, both mental, emotional, physical, right? We're like, okay, I can't exercise like I used to anymore. I can't work out like I used to. Maybe the internal part is like, I want to go and look like I used to back in uniform, or at least pretty close to it, right? So you sit down and you have that hard conversation with yourself. Why is this important? Start writing it down. Start just sentence after sentence after word, and you're going to come up with what's really, really important to you, I think, within a few pages.
Yeah.
If you've never done it before, maybe it'll take you an hour, right? But sit in silence, turn off the television, your phone and everything, and just sit in silence and just write for a little bit about why this goal is so important to you. And I think most people will be really surprised what comes out on that paper, because it's not something we do often, just sit and write.
For sure.
Right? We don't do that a lot, especially in, with all the technology that we have. Just write, pen and paper, just write stuff down and see what pops up. Come back to it a day later and say, oh, wow, I can't believe I wrote that.
What is the importance of physically writing that out?
I think the first importance is that you get to be very specific. You get to really learn like what's happening, because there's that time, that moment where your brain just takes over when you kind of start writing. So there's that. It gives you something very specific. It does also provide some short-term motivation, and also some excitement, because once you find that why, you're going to get really fired up, right? You're going to be
for sure.
Oh, this is it. Like, this is why. This is it. And then you can take that, put it on a Post-it note, stick it on the mirror in the bathroom, put it on the refrigerator in the kitchen. Maybe it's on the dashboard of your car or whatever, where you get in and you're like, okay, boom, that's it.
So, you talked about, after you've written it, and even talking about the why, and I would lump it in even, or not lump it in together, but I'm definitely a big proponent. If you do have a goal, if there is something you're working for, you write it down, for a lot of the same reasons. And then, that why flows from it, right? How often should a person be revisiting that, and how can that help them?
I think now, when you say revisiting, are you revisiting the goal, or are you revisiting why?
What you wrote, well, kind of both, like, this was my goal, recentering, and we'll get into this in a little bit, because just life is going to happen in general.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But, and you can even speak to that why, how often are you revisiting it?
Yeah. I think with the goal, it depends on a couple of factors. One, the time bound portion of that we talked about.
Yep.
So if it's 6 months away, your goal is 6 months away, you should probably be doing some weekly check-ins to see, all right, where am I getting? How far along am I coming in this process to make sure that I'm meeting that end result?
Yeah.
And it's going to vary a little bit based on when you want that goal to happen. But I
Right.
love weekly on this. I love checking in weekly because weekly you get to assess your training plan, your nutrition plan. You get to do your weekly weigh-in that we had talked about. Pictures are great for that. That's kind of getting
Yeah,
way out
absolutely.
there. But I like weekly for looking at the goal. For the why, I think every time that you get this thought in your head of, oh, this is why I'm doing it, go write it down. That might be every morning. That might be that moment of clarity that you get in the shower. That might be that moment of clarity of why when you see a motivational video while you're having morning coffee. It might be at night, when you're trying to get your kids tucked in and you're reading that bedtime story and a thought pops into your head. You're like,
For sure.
this is why.
Yeah.
So that one might be a little bit more daily. It might be every few days. I think the two words "it depends" is really relevant here, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Because just for me personally, just the thought of saying, "Well, it's either this way or no way at all," just it really scares me. And so I like saying, "Well, it depends." So I think the example of weekly with a goal, maybe a daily, reaffirming your why every day, every 2 days or whatever, and it's going to change. That's okay.
Yeah.
Let that why change and adapt because as we become, as we start to learn more through that process of accomplishing that goal, that why might change a little bit, and the process might change as well. So it depends, but let's say weekly and daily.
I like it. So for some people, the goal part of it, I don't want to say it's easy, but we could sit here right now and it could be like, oh, there's all this stuff that I want to accomplish this year, right?
Yeah.
And not even getting into the smart portions of it, how that's actually going to happen and everything. But for a lot of people, the follow through becomes extremely difficult,
Yeah.
especially, don't quote me on the exact length of time, but it seems, like within like 2 weeks, after New Year's goals, a lot of people greatly fall off, right? Even if
Yeah.
it's starting a new fitness routine, if it's a new meal plan, whatever it may be, it goes south very quick. How do you recommend that, our veteran athletes, our community, that they approach the accountability of these goals that they've set for themselves?
Sure. I think what we do at Cal is real unique, right? Because we have these amazing coaches on our team, that serve as mentors. So I think by utilizing that and asking for feedback, that's a great step. Like, hey, this was my plan this week. This is where I really achieved some great things, and this is where I fell short. What do you recommend I do? So ask for feedback is very critical. Get an accountability partner, a brother or sister that is maybe trying to go through something very similar with their goal, or someone that's already done it. That way, you've got somebody to check in with. Maybe it's every day. Every day, 9 a.m., you're texting one another. Hey, did you get your workout in? Hey, did you get your meal prep done? Little things like that. Another that I really like is self-care, right? Our community, right? We're so used to our time in the military, and almost everybody we work with says something to the effect of, "Well, I had to take care of my soldiers."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so few of us are ever saying, "Well, I need to take care of myself."
For sure.
So whether that's a hot bath or going to get a massage or walking alone or whatever it is, right? Practice some self-care. I think you also have to recognize when you're procrastinating.
Yeah.
This one is huge for so many of us. I'm guilty of it, right?
We all
I
are.
right,
Course.
like
Yeah.
I love when there's nobody home and I get to just sit on the couch and eat Doritos and watch reruns on Netflix, right? But I
Yeah.
also know that, like, wow, I'm really procrastinating,
Yeah.
when I could be out there doing, something else that's going to help me get towards my goal. Now, some might argue, hey, sitting on the couch watching reruns and eating
That is my
Doritos is
self-care.
self-care, right? That's my self-care. Like, totally. If that's it, like, awesome, fantastic. But if you find yourself doing that more often,
Right.
than doing something on your task list for that day to accomplish your goals. Maybe reevaluate a little
Yeah.
bit. Reward yourself. When you do something on your task list, praise yourself, right?
Yeah.
Look in the mirror, say, hey, you did a great job on this today. I'm really proud of you. Keep that up. Let's do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And stay organized. We spoke right before we started this about this organized chaos, right?
Yep.
You got to stay organized. Writing your list down, having it someplace where it's easily accessible to you, so that when you wake up in the morning, it's there. When you go to bed in the evening, it's there. So stay organized. Those are all great ways to help hold yourself accountable. And I'm really glad that we really have that piece at Cal. We've got our coaches that serve as that mentor. Hey, how come you haven't done this yet? Hey, you did a great job when you did this, so it goes both ways, right? And it's hugely helpful. How many times have we seen a veteran write in and just say, I'm so glad that accountability piece was there.
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah, I read it this morning.
Right. Yeah. It happens. It happens more often than it doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
Right. So those are all great ways, I think.
And I think I just want to touch on that real fast too, because I think some folks are kind of it takes them off guard. They might look at that task, because one of the requirements of our wellness program, whether it's the 8-week or the 3-week wellness program, is that you are required every Friday to log into your member dashboard, and you have that weekly athlete report, which is essentially an AAR of your week, right? That's what it is. What went good, what didn't go so good, what we're looking to accomplish next week, or kind of change up, and what the heck is the point of it? Why do I got to do this? Why do I got to write out, what I did this week in the gym? Why do I have to be accountable to that? And a couple weeks in, it's like, holy cow, we're at the end of it. I can't believe what this did for me, even athletes that are quite experienced. So it's quite remarkable.
It's a huge help. And I think it's weird because all of us, that trauma affects us differently. But really all we're really doing is just reinforcing a lot of what we learned while we were in the military.
Yeah.
Right. And somewhere along the way, that trauma that affected us, was like, oh, there goes that accountability. And so I love how we use our coaches to that manner to help all of our brothers and sisters out. It's amazing.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And we'll talk about our coaches a little bit more here in a bit, but Cal has a ton of tools that veterans can implement to really help them starting a day. Like, what's the first thing you can do? Like, get on the landing zone, right? We got a lot of different stuff. Talk about some of these tools that are available right now that you can start using as a veteran athlete at Catch Lift.
So one of my favorites to talk about, obviously, is nutrition.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great information on there about how to meal prep. How to meal prep, I think, is so vitally important, because as spouses, as parents, as just employees of whatever, we get so busy, and meal prep can literally save us time and money.
And stress
and health. And
that's the biggest one for me.
Right. And stress. Like, how many times it's like, oh, at least I got some meal prep in the fridge.
Correct.
So tons of information about nutrition and meal planning and meal prep on the landing zone. Lots of great information about home workouts, about things that you can do right from your home, where you don't need any equipment or you don't need much equipment. One of the most common things we hear is, well, I didn't have time. Well, there's a many very quick workouts right there on the landing zone that you could take advantage of.
Absolutely.
All you've got to do is just go log in and check it out, right? So there's that. There's two things right there off the top: nutrition and workouts. Other benefits to the landing zone is just different types of programming that we offer to all our Cal veteran athletes that I highly recommend everyone check out. All types of articles, how-to YouTube videos, so on and so on. With the programming, there's Sugar WOD that we utilize for our CrossFit athletes, our Strength Lead programming that's available free to all of our Cal veteran athletes, and just tons and tons. You could just go on and click and watch video after video
Absolutely.
and read article after article about nutrition, about exercise, about stretching, about cool downs, about walking, about squatting, about all kinds of everything that we need in this industry of health and wellness. It's all there.
Absolutely. So there's kind of another piece to all of this, Jeremiah. When we're approaching, whether it's goals, whether we're talking about, again, shaking off the dust of the past few years, just anything we're looking to achieve this year, just moving forward, and that's mindset.
Mhm.
Coach Jeremiah, talk to us about the importance of mindset.
Sure. One of the ways that trauma affected me the most when I left the Army was I was very negative,
Yeah.
right? I was just very negative about my life and very negative about my own circumstances. And my mindset, really played the big factor in that because I didn't know how to go about being grateful. I didn't know how to go about
Yeah.
looking at things from a different perspective. So your mindset is going to be the number one thing that helps you achieve that goal. Whether you believe it or not, your mindset is going to be what gets you out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
When that alarm clock goes off and you're like, oh, I didn't get out of bed, it's because your mindset wasn't in the right place, right? So when we look at mindset, there's I think several different things that we can take into consideration here. One, we change kind of your environment. And what I mean by that is, if you've got all the electronics and the gadgets and everything right next to your bed, right there on the nightstand, right, you're probably not going to want to get out of bed, right?
Yep.
Because you
sure.
can go check social media, check the news, look at the weather, and be like, "Oh, it's not
Yep.
happening for me today." Put that stuff someplace else, right? Put it in the bathroom, put it near the coffee pot or whatever. Like, just change your environment around
Yeah.
just a little bit. Connect with positive people, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about our Cal coaches again,
For sure.
because our Cal coaches are some of the most authentic, positive people, right, we've ever
Yeah.
met. Right, they've experienced all this, right? Just like our brothers and sisters, that are just coming to the organization. They've all been through this, so they know what it's like. Get involved with the coaches and get involved with the Cal community. Repeating affirmations like positive, good, daily, maybe hourly, several times a day, self-talk, right?
Yeah.
I'm smart enough to be able to do this. I'm good enough to do this. I deserve the outcome that I'm trying to get. Little things like that. For a long time, I put sticky notes on the mirror in my bathroom.
Yep.
Because that was the one place, right, I could see myself and say that to myself at the same time. And then I started to believe it. Expand your thinking by kind of shifting your perspective by saying something like, okay, what is this problem trying to teach me? Here I am going through all this adversity right now. Okay, let me take a step back. What am I going to learn from this? What is this issue trying to truly teach me? And when you can kind of start to look at it from a different perspective, your mindset's going to start to change and you're not going to view things in that negative way immediately anymore.
Right.
You still might see some of the negative aspects, which is totally fine. Acknowledge your feelings, let them happen, but also try to think outside of the box that we hear so often, look at it from a different perspective and say, okay, but what am I really going to learn here? How is this going to make me a better person?
There was a lot of great stuff in there. I want to hit on a couple of them just because they really struck me. So the first one was changing that environment, right? And it was like, get the electronics away from the bed and stuff.
Yep.
And our longtime nutrition coach at Catch Lift, Coach Don Wright, one of my favorite bits of advice that he gives, and it's, because as veterans, I mean, general population has this issue too, but sleep is always right up there on folks. That's an issue, right? Like, I can't sleep, sleep, very poor sleep, very low hours, sleep depth, whatever. And he's like, where's your cell phone? Where are you sleeping with it? Answer 90% of the time is always right. Like, by my pillow, right on my nightstand. First thing he says, get it out of the bedroom. Get it out of the bedroom. If you absolutely cannot get that cell phone out of your bedroom for whatever reason, it's in the farthest corner, away from you. And yeah, because it's funny that little box, that little, few inch thing, what it opens up and what it really does to your mind. So I absolutely love that. And then you talked about the sticky notes and the affirmations.
Hmm.
And, I would say for myself, not to compare myself to you or anything, but the same thing, post military, post traumas, I developed a very negative mindset, right?
Yeah.
And and part of that negative mindset was when people would say that type of thing to me, I would just like tune them out and be like, that's stupid. Like, whatever. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to write, a few words on a sticky note and put it on my
Yeah.
bathroom and do that. I'll tell you though, Jeremiah, it was back in, I think, 2017, and I was out with our good friends in Westport, Connecticut, at a catch a lift event. And one of the coaches out there, who I got to know, and she had known me for a little bit and kind of just knew my story and a bit about me. And before I went home that weekend, uh, she handed me, like a piece of paper, and she's like, I want you to commit to something. And she had 3 short mantras on there that were kind of, she's like, play with them if you need to, but these might be the ones for you, type of thing. And she's like, say them every day. It's kind of like,
Nice.
all right, whatever. And I really respected
Yeah.
this woman, and thought a lot of her. And I remember sitting on the plane on the ride home, and I just staring at it. I kind of said it a couple times, and I'm like, this is weird. This
Yeah.
is weird. But my mindset had already started to change a little bit just being in Cal. And so, I hadn't crumpled it up and thrown it away, type thing. And
Yeah.
I got home and I rewrote it on a sticky note. And I didn't stick it on the mirror, but I stuck it like between the wall and the mirror. So it was kind of wedged in there, so
Hmm.
a minimum of 2 times a day I was in that bathroom, right? In the morning to get up and before bed, but oftentimes many more times a day. I'd see it there. I started saying it. Started saying it more and more and more. And it turned into a situation where I obviously memorized it very quickly. And I was just saying it throughout my day, or I'd get
Yeah.
frustrated, right? And, it was just on, being strong or powerful, or, different stuff. And it, it's weird what it did to me. And that alone had such a profound impact on me, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, just my mindset, everything. And it really changed me. And so I definitely encourage people to do
Yeah.
that. It doesn't have to be given to you from someone else, um, develop it for yourself or whatever it may be, but it really does work. And even if you are, in my opinion, coming at it from kind of a cynical point of view, like, I'll tell you, I was one of the most negative, cynical people you will
Yeah.
meet, and I did it, and it really did have a profound impact on me. So I'd highly encourage anybody to do that.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, that stuff really struck me. But I want to dig at that just a little bit more, Jeremiah, because it can sound easy when you and I are sitting here having this conversation about it, right?
Yes.
And we both know, and one of the things at Catch a Lift that we're so very proud of is that we meet athletes where they're at, not where we think
Yes.
they should be at, right?
Hmm.
And so for folks who are in a very perpetually poor mindset, or in a very negative space, um, what do you feel like, one thing today, if you could tell them one thing, Jeremiah, just to kind of step outside of that, or make that kind of first step towards positivity, towards gratitude, what would that be?
Go buy sticky notes. That's all I want you to do. Like that's that,
Yeah,
right? Like let's start real basic. Like if this is what we can use to truly help, right?
yeah,
Go buy sticky notes today.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
Tomorrow, I want you to put a blank sticky note on the mirror. The day after that, you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, why is that sticky note blank? And you're going to start thinking about what I can put on that sticky note. So that's one thing, right? That's step by step. We're going to get to that, right? It's going to be really, like you said, it's going to be it is challenging
Yeah,
to just write something on a sticky note and put it up there, right?
yeah,
It's challenging, right? Okay, let's just break it down. All right, all I want you to do is go buy some sticky notes today. So maybe that's a process. But maybe like that's a little too intrusive. Maybe that's a little too like, wow, if anybody came into my house, like they would see that. And
yeah,
I don't want
yes.
people seeing that.
That is
Right.
something too. Yes, that is something to
Yeah.
acknowledge. Yeah,
I,
because not everyone has a
yes.
private bathroom or something, or
Yeah.
it's just
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
So, okay, let's change the environment. And where else could we do with that? And, one of the things I had mentioned earlier was in order to get something you've never had, you're going to have to do things you've never done.
yeah,
So, one of my, or a few of my struggles from this past year was, I still really suffer from negative self-talk and made up conversations in my head, right? That I look at different, I play out these scenarios that don't happen, right?
Yeah.
Just,
I get it.
because
Yeah, in
I'm
my own
thinking
way.
my anxiety is like up there, and it's just right.
Yeah.
So what I did was, for my birthday, I asked for this. This is a it's not leather, right? It looks leather, and the pages look like,
That's
old
cool. I like
paper,
it. Yeah.
right? And so nobody sees this but me, right? This, sits in my nightstand, but every morning and every evening I just write 2 sentences in it. And those 2 sentences have been the same, for the past week. Stop the negative self-talk and stop the made up scenarios. So that's something just for me. Nobody's
I like
seeing
that.
this.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
compact. I can hide it in a drawer. I can
Right.
put it under the mattress, right?
Yep.
Like, I can just put it in a backpack. Nobody sees it. But I'm getting this negativity out of my head. And when I read it, I'm like, why am I saying all these negative things to myself?
Right.
Why am I trying to make up scenarios in my head that, you know, 99.9% of the time are just not going to happen.
Right.
So you get that negativity, I think, out of your heart and out of your mind. You start to, okay, I'm a little bit more positive now because that thought is out there. The final thing I think you can do is take one good thing. Take one good thing from every day. One good thing, whether it's, hey, I woke up alive, or, you know, my PTSD didn't affect any of my relationships with my family today. Just that one thing. Take that one thing, write it down. There's a little positive. Now there's a little positive affirmation in there, right? And just keep doing that. And once you start to build, this thing is going to snowball.
Right.
Like it's going down a hill
Yeah.
and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you're no longer going to want like the sticky notes, right? You're going to want something a little bit more, I used the word twice, but something bigger, like a dream board, right?
Yeah.
You got your dream board now that you've put up for the whole world to see. Like, I don't care who sees it. This is my dream board.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm going for. But those little things daily start to make a big difference. But you have to do it every day. Just little things. Celebrate the little ones.
Absolutely. Thank you for speaking on that, Jeremiah.
Sure.
Jeremiah, talking about goals and such that people are looking to accomplish, how can a person leverage their mindset to really meet those goals?
Yeah, this one's tough, right? Because you start looking at what the heck does mindset mean, and how do you change it if you've never really had it? And so you have to look at your strengths. And I was taking notes on this earlier, so I'm going to pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
And so it was strengths and new learning, right? So the strengths that an individual has, maybe they're really good at public speaking. Maybe they're really good at solving puzzles. Maybe they're really good at math problems. Whatever those little different types of strengths are, those strengths can help turn into new learning. And by that, I mean, like, if you're looking at it at different levels, okay, I'm a level 1 puzzle putter together. Like, I can do 100 pieces like that, no problem. But that next level is 500. Okay, I'm going to take that strength and turn it into new learning. And now that new learning is going to become meaningful change. And it comes in full circle because that new learning now becomes a strength, and that strength turns into meaningful change. So strengths and new learning, leverage those two things.
I like it.
To make your mind like the ultimate weapon, a word that all of us are going to understand, right? This ultimate tool.
Yeah.
Strength and new learning. Take those two things and just become the ultimate version of yourself.
Coach Jeremiah, when setbacks occur, and these could be seemingly small, mundane ones, right up to very big stuff.
Yes.
interpersonal, family, so on and so forth. How can we keep a good mindset? How can we stay in a positive space, or at least kind of on that side of the spectrum when these
Yeah.
setbacks occur?
So I think it's important when we're writing down our goals to write down 2 to 3 things that we know could impact that goal from happening. So maybe it's time, right? We all get so
Yeah.
busy during the day.
Right.
Maybe it's time. Maybe it's access to information, or access to a facility, a gym, the office, or whatever it is. Write down 2 to 3 things that could play a factor and hinder that goal, and just write next to it. This does not have to be a long drawn out process,
Yeah.
but write down next to it, just write quick little contingency plan. If this happens, I have a backup plan.
I
We
like
talked
that.
about
Yep.
we talked earlier about meal prep. This is why I
Yep.
like meal prep so much, because how many times have I, or anyone, right? I've worked during the day. I got my kids from school. Oh, my son had a basketball game. We come back home and we're doing this, and I'm taking care of everybody. Oh crap! It's 8 o'clock. I haven't eaten.
Yeah.
You
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Cool. Let's go to BK. No, no, no. Let's not do that. We we got meal prep in the
Oh,
fridge. It's
shoot.
gonna be ready in like 2 minutes. Like it's ready. Boom. We've eaten. Um, and it gives you the chance to see everything from a big, broader picture too. If you start thinking about some of the obstacles that you're going to have in your mind, you're going to be like, oh, boom, it's done. I'm not
Yeah.
worried about it. It's cool. They're not going to seem like big deals. And this is going to come with practice. Like no one's going to get this perfect on their first time. Like, right, we don't need that, but just write something down. Like what could really stop me or hinder me here? I think that's a great place to start.
I really like that. Yeah.
And as you get better at it, that new learning and that new strength is, guess what? It's going to help your mindset become better.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. I like that. So Jeremiah, and we've hit on some of them already, but want to just really recap with this for everybody, because I
Mhm.
think sometimes some of these great ways that Catch Lift does support their veteran athletes, people can miss, and we certainly don't want them to miss out on this stuff. So Jeremiah, talk to us about all the ways that Catch Lift supports our veteran athletes, to meet their goals, to meet whatever it is that they're looking to accomplish.
Absolutely. Well, we spoke about our coaches.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have enough good words to say about our Cal
Oof,
coaches.
for sure. Yeah.
They are caring. They are determined. They look at every possible avenue in order to help someone.
Yeah.
They ask questions, to you, to me, to other people in our organization, and how to best serve our brothers and sisters, and they don't stop. I've received text messages, from our coaches 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, my time, right? Just, hey, what should I do about such and such? And like it's okay, because I know that they're really looking out for
Right.
the best way to help our brothers
Absolutely.
and sisters. So there's one. Our dashboard full of tools while that veteran is in the wellness program, full of that weekly report, the 5 and 10 month reports that excuse me, that help them see progress,
Yeah.
that help them see what they've been doing and see how close they're getting to their goals. We talked a little bit about that 3 week, and when a veteran has used up that first year grant, come back to the organization, because we still want to serve you.
Absolutely.
Right? You're a Cal veteran athlete for life.
Yeah, it's not a one and done.
This is not one and done type
Yeah.
work that we do. Like you're with us for life.
Yeah.
And certifications. Many times we've had veterans come through, and we've been able to help them take the next level, that new learning, and help them become a certified personal trainer, or whatever the case is. Just because it's great. Like they get to learn this information, and it's something
Absolutely.
they get to apply in their daily life. We've got our emails and text messages with daily motivational quotes, or pardon me, the text messages with the motivational quote. Which is really cool, because I don't know how many times where, I've seen one of those messages come through and I went, wow, that's really good.
Oh, for
Right?
sure. Yeah.
Like,
Needed that one today.
Yeah, I needed that one today. Kaylee does an amazing job. Our weekly
Yeah, she
newsletter
does.
full. Yeah, can't say enough great things about Kaylee. Kaylee, you do an amazing job, buddy.
Absolutely.
Like, you're phenomenal. And our weekly newsletters chock full of all kinds of good information. There's usually like what the nutrition, or pardon me, the recipe of the week. There's stuff about workouts, the women's fitness initiative, calendar of events, all that good stuff coming out in the weekly email. And I know 2023, we're going to be adding some special stuff to that, right?
Absolutely,
So
we are.
it's going to
Yes.
be a really cool year for the Cal community. Absolutely.
It is. And just like you said, we're always looking to be able to bring more to our veteran athletes, and 2023 is going to be no different. So we're so excited about that.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, I've got one last question for you today.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to this year?
So you know this, but I've entered into a physique competition, and this is something I that I've wanted to do for a long time, for several years. Because one, like I just wonder, do I have the amount of discipline
Oh, for sure.
that
Yeah.
it takes to get to that level of leanness, body fat percentage, that level of dedication to eat that very strict meal plan for so long, because I love snacking on my cookies and my chips like I do.
Yep.
I love that stuff. So that's in July. I'm really excited for that, but it's also like this really cool opportunity, for me to step out of my comfort zone and just learn more about lifting and exercise and nutrition overall. I know it's going to be very challenging. I know there's going to be obstacles that come along the way, birthday parties and social gatherings, and, days that I'm traveling and there has to be airport food or
Right.
whatever the
Yep.
case is, right? I know all that stuff's coming up, so in the back of my mind, I'm already like, okay, what am I going to do when presented with this, so that's one thing I'm definitely looking forward to. Another thing I'm looking forward to is, really connecting with some more Cal veteran athletes this year, some in-person events. That's always such a fun time, and
Oh,
seeing
for sure.
so many of our supporters, right? We can't do anything that we do without
No.
our, Cal veteran supporters. So totally stoked for those three things. And my daughter is going to be getting her driver's license soon. I'm excited for her for that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And this fall, she'll be starting her senior year in high school. I know she's excited for that. So there's just going to be, like I said at the beginning, Melissa, I'm super optimistic
Yeah.
and positive about this year and all the challenges that it's going to bring, and just how I'm going to be able to learn and grow and just be able to help our brothers and sisters.
That's absolutely tremendous, Jeremiah. Thank you so much for sharing that stuff with us. And oh my gosh,
Yeah,
we are
thank you.
so excited to watch you as you progress towards your competition and all the great stuff you're going to do this year. We'll definitely have to have you back on to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah, though, for coming on today and sharing your light with all of us. It was tremendous.
You're welcome, Melissa. It's always good to see you.
You too. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in this week for another episode, helping us all set the foundation for another Cal Strong year. A special thank you to head coach Jeremiah Pauley for joining us today and providing all these amazing tips and resources. Don't forget to join us every Wednesday live at 1 p.m. Eastern on YouTube for a chance to win Cal swag and to chat with your brothers and sisters. If you liked today's episode, please be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and leave us a review on your favorite streaming service. Until next week, keep it real and stay Cal Strong.